DC's journey in the movie world has been quite a rocky road in the last decade, to say the least. And now we have news that they've canceled a Batgirl movie, which was already fully filmed. That sure makes it seem like they're struggling more than ever, but actually, this gives me more confidence in the future of DC. I just made a video on how Marvel is on their downfall, and now we're here talking about how the rise of DC is coming. Take these as companion videos, which together show how the control of the movie industry, or at least the biggest blockbusters, is being taken from Marvel and handed to DC. I believe this is worth talking about because it really is a huge shift, which I never would have expected at any point until this year. To understand what I'm arguing, we have to look at the history of DC's cinematic universe, known as the DCEU. They attempted to replicate the success of the MCU Phase 1 by making Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Wonder Woman, and Aquaman, and combining them into the Justice League movie, which was supposed to be their big Avengers success, but instead just missed the mark entirely. They did all of that trying to be a well-established connected universe, but they missed how Marvel went about it. Marvel took their time in the early days and they planned it out, while DC rushed it out the door and had no idea what they were leading up to. Or, I suppose Zack Snyder did know what he was doing with his 3 films, but Warner Bros. Took away his control and put out a dumpster fire for everyone to jump in, which served as their culmination event film. After all that failure, DC quit trying to connect the films and just made pretty much standalone movies, like Shazam, Birds of Prey, and the Suicide Squad, that are supposedly part of the same universe, but they weren't planning on bringing them together. That's where DC found their footing just a little bit. Almost. Outside of the DCEU, they also put out Joker and the Batman, 2 giant wins. And they also released Zack Snyder's original vision of the Justice League, which was incredible, and proved that one person knew what he was doing. But that brings us to modern day. What does DC do next? They announced sequels to each of their hugely successful standalones. So now there's 3 different DC universes running at once? And they cancel a Batgirl movie while in post-production. Seems fishy, but like I said at the beginning, this kinda just gives me more confidence that DC's on the right track. Listen, if the movie's bad, if it doesn't contribute to what DC wants to put out, then good. It's good that it's canceled. It means that they're learning from their past. There's also been fear of them canceling The Flash too, which I wouldn't mind. I personally don't want them to release another 2017 Justice League or Wonder Woman 84. It's been so easy to make fun of DC because of films like that, so if they're canceling these movies, it means they're focused on quality. They're actually going to change their reputation. It'll still be very difficult because their so-called cinematic universe is a mess at the moment, but now it seems that the executives at DC are finally willing to plan out and take their time working on a 10-year plan for the future. It's pretty poetic that this would start happening right as Marvel begins to fail, but that's actually where we're at right now. I want everyone to know that this is coming from someone who has been on Marvel's side for forever. I have always thought Marvel was better at everything that I've seen, but the tables have really turned. DC is in a much better spot. They're learning from their own past mistakes and the success of Marvel so that they can serve their stories and characters right, finally. Meanwhile, Marvel is forgetting what it is, pumping out 8 lazy projects per year, which now we know is leading up to the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, but it really doesn't change what I said in my previous video. These brands have switched their positions. DC was either doing rushed franchise garbage or random standalones for a few years, when they are now ready for a fresh start at building a universe. Marvel is making the biggest event films in history with a conclusion that was earned, when they are now not even trying to make quality over quantity. Why do I think the DCU could start to work? We've seen them do great character development in Shazam and the Snyder Cut, amazing epic moments in each of the Snyder films, and great action and humor in Birds of Prey and the Suicide Squad. We know they can make real quality, we just haven't seen them use it to the full potential. This new era of DC will allow them to do that. We have yet to see if DC will actually win as big as Marvel did in the 2010s, but there's no doubt to me that the 2020s are DC's decade. I don't know how Black Adam or Shazam 2 will turn out, but I do know that David Zaslav the CEO of Warner Bros. Discovery, said that DC is on a reset, that they have a 10-year plan for their movies, and that they're focusing on quality and aiming to grow and protect the DC brand. Honestly, that's enough for me, to know that there's a change going on at DC. That's why I have more faith in their future than Marvel's. Will they make something on the level of Infinity War or Endgame? We can hope so. Probably not, but it's something that's possible now. And again, jumping outside of the DCEU, the sequels to Joker and the Batman, respectively, could be great too. As we've seen with the MCU, they're making way too much stuff for it to all be part of the same world. So maybe it's actually a fantastic idea to make sequels or trilogies completely separate from that main franchise. It's actually genius for DC. It allows those filmmakers to create their own vision without the limitations of the connected universe, while that connected universe is still going. I want to say again that I was one of the people who would have thought it was stupid a year ago to think that Marvel would ever lose their place at the top, or that DC would ever get to build something as great as the MCU Infinity Saga. We'll see, but I think the rise of DC is on the way, and everything that they're doing, besides the Ezra Miller situation, points toward a bright future. And yes, canceling Batgirl reaffirmed that for me.